Coming up next on All About Android, it's me, Jason Howell, Ron Richards, and Florence Ion. We celebrate Android's awkward teenage years. Also, I give some takeaways on my review of the Pixel 4a 5G and the Pixel 5. We go hands-on with the OnePlus N10 5G. The future of phones is apparently scrollable phones. And one emailer received a very interesting gift when he ordered the Galaxy Z Fold 2. Or did he? All that more coming up next on All About Android. All About Android is brought to you from LastPass Studios. You're focused on security, but are your employees? LastPass can ensure that they are by making access and authentication seamless, whether your employees are working in the office or remotely. Visit lastpass.com/twit to learn more.
Podcasts you love.
From people you trust.
This is TWiT.
This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Sudo. Life is better without spam, ads based on activity, hacked information, or the risk of identity theft. Take back control of your privacy with Sudo. Download the Sudo app today from the App Store or Google Play. Go to mysudo.com/twit to learn more. And by Manscaped. Get the Manscaped Performance Package. It's the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/twit. Hello, welcome to All About Android episode 498, recorded on Tuesday, November 10, 2020. Your weekly source for latest news, hardware, and apps for the Android faithful. I'm Jason Howell.
And I'm Ron Richards.
And I'm Florence Ion. Hi, guys.
Hello. Welcome to the three of us, or the two of you. As I was reading that intro, I suddenly had to stop myself and realize that we are 2 away from 500. Not that round numbers are that big a deal, but 500 feels kind of like a big deal.
500 I did have that thought. I did have that thought
last week. Like, ooh, 500 is approaching. What are we going to do?
I don't know. I guess we have to talk about that.
We probably should do something about that. That's amazing. That's a huge milestone, dude.
That is.
Yeah. We can make a milestone out of almost anything. Like, I'm sure we made a milestone out of 100 and 200, 250.
I feel like 500 is worth being like that. You're not really stretching far to say 500 episodes is a milestone.
Especially on a weekly show.
400 episodes while I was overseas.
Yeah, well, usually in years past, the plan for the 100th episodes, like the 400 and 300 before it and whatever, we would bring on folks from the past, who have been with the show. But I'm sorry, I haven't reached out to anyone yet. So I'll start doing that because I'm sure we can get a couple of All About Androiders from years past.
Sure.
Let's talk after the show. We'll see if we can. I can help you out with some of the booking. We can work that out. So it's all good. So.
We can make it happen together as the team that we are. I'm happy to have this team with me as moral support because boy, oh boy, this week was not an easy week to pick stories. Half this show is filled with hardware that I have on my table here. There's a sneak peek of it. So the other half is filled with a couple of news items. Regardless, we're going to make it fun for you. Don't worry. We always do, right? That's what we do here. So without further ado, Burke, take us to the news.
On Android News.
If you had asked me what would happen tonight on the show, I would not have predicted Burke humming "Happy Birthday" for longer than the bumper animation. But totally. Flo, that's a perfect lead-in.
Happy birthday, Android. You're 13 years old now. This is a huge milestone. You're officially a teenager. That's right. Those of you might be wondering, what do you mean 13 years old? So Android was actually officially introduced on November 5th, 2007. So actually we're about 5 days late. But you know what? A belated birthday is better than no birthday at all. So happy birthday, Android.
Android's voice is all cracking right now. It's like, thanks a lot, Flo. Appreciate it.
Well, what's even more interesting is that Android can now have their own Gmail account, and they can register for Facebook.
That's a good point.
And they could be on message boards and all that sort of stuff, because 13 is the child internet lowest bar. Although I do hear that's being moved to 16, but I think if you're 13 you can get away with it. So Android can be on TikTok, and it can be on Instagram and all the other fun social networks the kids are using these days.
Let's be real though, Android's smart. And Android has a lot of cool friends. So Android's been there for a long time. This is like an official, point for everyone else. Android knew how to get there well before Android was 13.
True. So
cool
if it has really been
or wannabe Android peeps, frenemies.
That's a good point.
That's a good point. That's a very good point. But so it's been 13 years of Android, and since we don't have much news tonight, if you both were pressed to think of your favorite Android moment in time of the last 13 years, what would it be?
Oh boy.
Because we've seen a lot in the timeline of Android happen, right?
My favorite moment in Android.
Like history. when you just like free association, when you think 13 years of Android, what pops into your head? I'll start.
Okay, go.
I'll go.
Please.
The Jason, when we did the show back in the day when we had the first Android tablet.
Oh, so that was the
Motorola
Zoom,
the Motorola Zoom, yeah, exactly, the XOOM or whatever it was. And then it was like that was the moment where I'm like, oh, this could be something. This is you start to see the potential of the operating system and all that sort of stuff. But that was the moment we started branching out into beyond phones, which I thought was super interesting. So that's one of my favorite memories.
Flo, what you got, or do you?
I feel like this is a very typical answer for me to have, just very characteristic of me, but I'm just thinking about all that Android has sort of enabled me to do, because it came into my life in my early 20s. And so it really unlocked a whole new world of usability for me. And I think with just like the career path that I took and everything, I've just had this little like companion, and it's kind of wild to just think about how far this device has become. It's not just a communication device for, back in the day, I had my cell phone on me all the time because I was texting a friend, right? But when I wasn't doing that, the phone was just sort of sitting idly by. Now the phone is just everything to me. And
now the phone is your friend.
Well, not just that. I was remarking about this last week. But can you believe how much collateral we carry on us every single day just on our phones? I mean, it really is. I feel like we don't speak to how much of not even just an accessory, but an extension of ourselves these devices are. And just thinking, I mean, I have over 5 years worth of conversations on this device. I have 20, 25 years worth of photos that I have access to on this device. I have music, movies. It really is just, it's really blown up. I mean, we have to give it some credit. And there goes my Tamagotchi in the background. I don't know if
your
the mic
Tamagotchi's blowing up now. I echo all that. I'm having a hard time picking just one moment. So I'll throw out three really quick moments. Moment number one is my Motorola Droid, the original. Just how like awesome and powerful that felt back in the day.
Heavy. That was a heavy phone.
And heavy. It just was awesome. That was my first phone of that type, and so it was great. Number two, Google Glass, and in particular the moment on the show where Ron puts it on, and holy cow, because I will never get over it. It's one of my favorite moments in history. Exactly. And then number three, Google's announcement, where I believe it was the Oreo announcement, where Flo, you and I did the live coverage of whatever that was going to be, and we got on set ready to do like serious live coverage of something that Google was doing, a live event, and it was literally just them unveiling the statue, and we vamped for half an hour and made it worth something. We were tricked by Google, in other words. So yeah.
Oh, good times.
I could totally come up with so much more.
So, well, here, let me focus it a little more. So in the past 13 years, all things being equal, operating systems, functionality, all that sort of stuff, if you had to pick one phone to represent your Android experience, which phone would it be? Like if your yearbook photo of the 13 years of Android, you're holding a phone. Which phone is it?
Oh boy, that's an on the spot question.
I'll go first again to give you some time to think, but it's an answer that the whole audience will know.
Yeah, I know it.
The wonderful Nexus 5, which is the first entry into the Android Hall of Fame, and still to this date the greatest Android phone there ever was. So Nexus 5 all the way.
100%. 100%. I feel like for me it would be the Samsung Galaxy S3. That was a really popular phone at the time, but it was also the phone that I adopted that took me away from the grasp of iOS, which I was in for about 4 to 5 months briefly. I had a brief dance with an iPhone. And then when I went to the GS3, it's sort of, I remembered and that UI was atrocious. And even then,
TouchWiz,
I just thought about the capabilities of what I could do. And I remembered how easy and how fluid the UI was, because even if the UI is not aesthetically what we've always aspired to, there's something about the way you interact with it, the way you select things, the floating action button, which is just like the marquee of the Android interface. All of that just kind of like instantly comes back. It's a very natural thing. And I think that's why Android feels like home.
Android, you feel like home. My easy answer would be the Motorola Droid for all the reasons that I've already talked about. But as I think about it more, I think the Moto X, the original Moto X 2013, the one that you could do Moto Maker and customize it, and just how that felt like, holy cow, this is Android awesome. You know what I mean? Like there was so much right about that era. If
only the camera on that thing were better.
But the cameras on most phones sucked right then, you know.
I was just saying, all things being equal, what they were at the time, you know. So,
but that was like.
But by the way,
that was awesome.
We have Rick Osterloh, current head of product at Google. We have him. That was a part of that Moto X experience. That was part of that whole design paradigm, that whole launch. Including the Moto 360 era. I mean, if we just recall, since we're talking about all the extensions of Android, if we just recall, I know Wear OS hasn't really been coming out of our mouths recently, but remember when it was new to us and it was exciting, and boy, has it been eclipsed by so many other platforms.
It really has, but it still keeps on kicking. It still keeps on going.
It does still keep on ticking.
And when you think about the expansion of Android over 13 years, it took us 13 years to finally get a decent remote control based TV device from Google, at least. I mean, we have it from Shield and we have it from Xiaomi and other ones, but the new Chromecast took them 13 years to get to this point. So, yeah.
I kind of want to, by the way, get Chromecast with Google TV for all the TVs in the house, because I can't deal with the phone anymore being the controlling mechanism.
It's rough. Yeah. Cool. Well, they don't cost that much, so I suppose you could for a couple.
No, I know.
How many TVs do you have in your house?
17.
I have three total.
17.
We have 3 TVs. Yeah, so
a little bit of an investment,
but I am holding out for the NVIDIA Shield for the living room TV. I'm holding out to see what sales will come for us, whether Santa will bring me any gift cards that I could use towards the purchase of one. So I'm trying to remain patient for that NVIDIA Shield. But I think it's a true testament to Android's 13 years that we still get so excited about what we're going to put in our houses and like the phones that we're going to use and what's coming out next. We're so lucky.
Right.
So lucky.
It's been a good 13
love
years.
You, Android.
It's definitely kept us on our toes. It's kept things interesting. we've had some ups, we've had some downs, we've had some embarrassments from OnePlus. We've had some, it
was the best of times. It was the worst of times.
There's some people that we want to forget about. Andy Rubin. There's some other people who we, who we've seen rise the ranks and are, it's definitely been 13 years. I can't believe, Jason, I can't believe it's been 13 years of an emotional roller coaster when it comes to these phones and this operating system. So
Android Police, by the way, has they just put up a blog post today, but they have a fun bunch of links where they'll walk you through like Android 1.0, and they'll walk you through the very first Android prototype that they managed to get their hands on earlier this year. I thought that was pretty cool just to kind of like dive in there. And I think, with the time that we have at home right now, why not give yourself some time to reflect on the mobile operating system that you rely on?
It's November. It's the time to be thankful. It's the time to to look back on the year and on the past 13 years and give thanks for what we have. And honestly, like what we like my Nexus 4A, it's pretty doggone amazing. It's pretty awesome. And to think of where we were.
Did you say Nexus 4A?
No, I did say Nexus. I meant Pixel 4a. You see, I just love that Nexus phone so much.
Yeah. But good enough. Close enough.
Yeah. But it is amazing what we can do. It is easier to do everything that is more easier than ever to do everything we've ever wanted to do on these phones. And that's a testament to this operating system. So
Yep. And choice
Android
has never been better.
Lots of choice
better as well. Which is a great segue into this next block. Like I told you, news was light this week. So, but that's not that we don't have stuff to talk about. For example, I've been using the Pixel 4a 5G and the Pixel 5 for the last couple of weeks. I spent my time focused on one phone, then focused on the other, and then kind of jump in between to try and figure out like how I felt, because it's like I got these two big Pixel devices, and we always talk about Pixels on this phone on this show. And, so this is kind of an important family of devices to be familiar with. And so anyone who wants to watch my full review, you can. It's on Hands on Tech, twit.tv/HOT is where you can go to watch the full review. But I thought I would just bring them on as well. Not that you haven't seen them a million times, but, this is Ron's phone. This is the Pixel 4a.
How did you get my phone all the way in California?
I've got ways. I've got my ways. The Pixel 4a 5G, as you can see, a little bit larger. And then the beast of them all, the tiny Pixel 5, because it is small again.
It told me that...
Oh, what did they tell you? Please tell me what they told you. So 4a 5G, so I'll start there. This is the device that is $500 in the price, kind of in the price range category, $150 more than the 4A. And I have to say, the thing that I really walked away from my time with both of these devices with is that if I had to recommend either the Pixel 5 or the Pixel 4a 5G, I would recommend the 4a 5G, which is weird for me because I'm so used to always going with whatever the top largest, whatever you want to define that as, either by size or by specs and that sort of thing, Pixel device. And this time around, I just felt like really like the difference between the 4a 5G and the Pixel 5 is so small for the price difference. The Pixel 5 is $200 more than the 4a 5G. They both have the same processor. They both have the same camera system, which is great. And I'll talk about that in a second. Great, but with an asterisk as far as I'm concerned. The 5 just gives you like the aluminum build, wireless charging, 90 hertz display, a few other things that really, when I used both of these devices on a day-to-day basis, like I really had no need for what I was getting out of the 5. The 4a 5G was perfectly sufficient. I used them almost identically. And then I'm like, okay, well then why would I recommend something that costs $200 more over the other one? I think you only really know that you're going to get the 5 if something like wireless charging is super important to you, or if the 90 hertz display is really important to you, which it's nice, but it's just, I don't know. I feel like on paper, the differences between the two may read as sufficient, But in practice and using both of them on a daily basis, I just didn't find it. It really felt unnecessary to go with the 5. And so, I mean, between the two, I would say the 4A 5G would be my pick. And for me, what I plan on doing is I'm sticking with the 4 XL. Like I'm not even going to go on this like for however long that lasts. I don't know. Maybe a greater phone will come out that'll pull me away. But my day-to-day driver is not going to be the 4A 5G or the Pixel 5. I'm perfectly happy staying with the 4 XL, which everybody then says, yeah, but the battery. And you know what? I don't find issues with the battery on the 4 XL. I never really have. It's the 4 that I do, but the 4 XL has been fine for me. So I'm happy to stay there.
Hey, Jason, didn't I see in Ron Amadio's review of the Pixel 5 on Ars Technica that the benchmarks show that the Pixel 4, the processor it's just better at benchmarking than what's in the Pixel 5, which is kind of leaving, I don't know.
Right.
Feels like kind of a sore spot there.
Kind of part of it too, right? Like which, you know, and part of me feels a little hypocritical because we've been talking all year about how dominant and good enough, let's go ahead and underline that phrase, good enough, the mid-range is right now, and the 765G processor that's in, you know, the 4A 5G as well as the Pixel 5. You know, that also happens to be in the Nord that I've talked about a couple of months ago, which we'll talk about later in the show. And that processor in those devices is fine. But in my day-to-day use of the Pixel 5 and the 4A 5G, there were definitely areas of the, you know, using the phone, you know, is it image processing? Is it just straight up navigating in certain instances where things just kind of slow down a little bit? They're not as smooth as I'm used to them being on a flagship level device, like what I've been used to with the 4 XL. And so I do encounter that. And then I'm like, okay, well, like, I don't need to like I have the ability to stay with the thing that I'm happier with. So I will. Like, there's no reason for me to continue, like, level up to the Pixel 5 if the 5 kind of, you know, bums me out when it slows down on image processing, which I take a ton of pictures. So I do notice that. Other people might not. So,
wow. Interesting.
So that's kind of where I'm at. But
it's so funny because, like, you want, like, going back to what we were reminiscing on 13 years of Android, and it's like we really, when Google does release a new line of phones, I want to rally around them and I want to root for them, you know, and like you want to get behind it, and it just seems like it just keep like mixed bag after mixed bag, you know, the last couple of rounds of doing this. You know, it just seems like there's all like, you know, at least the last like 2 or 3, you know, version groups have had some sort of takeaway, some sort of problem. And even now someone was asking me what the difference between the 4A 5G and the Pixel 5 were. And I was explaining it to them, and they were just like looked at me like, or they didn't look at me, but we were chatting. They chatted at me, and they're like, "That's just bananas." And I was like, "Yeah, no, I know." And like, why didn't they call it? I'm like, "No, I know." Like, it just seemed it made it more complicated than it needs to be, unfortunately.
Completely agree.
Which is frustrating. Yeah,
completely agree. You know, I applaud Google for having a variety, for having a menu of devices. I just don't think that the 5. Like, I feel like the 5 could have been a true step up. And that's why I say it's kind of weird when I hear myself talking about it, because some of the features that the 5 has that the 4A 5G does not have are, in fact, features that people are pining for. But for me, and it's all subjective, right? For me, those didn't end up being features that on a day-to-day basis I really felt like would compel me to drop another $200 for the Pixel 5. I would totally be happy with the 4A 5G. Throw a fabric case on it, and I wouldn't even know. You know, like you put a case on here and you don't even know that it's plastic versus aluminum or whatever the case, whatever happens to be behind it. So, yeah, mixed bag this time around as far as I'm concerned. Which is not to say they're bad devices. It's just not my device.
I think the biggest thing right now is just trying to figure out what Google's trajectory is with the Pixel devices, because we have 3 different SKUs that we're working with right now, and it feels really scattered. And like Ron said, it's hard to rally behind any one of them because it's like, well, you're all relatively good, but when you compare kind of the deal that you get elsewhere, it just doesn't stack up. And that's kind of what I'm getting from the reviews that I'm reading about the Pixel 5 is just you can probably find a better deal somewhere else.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, totally. I mean, I haven't had any firsthand experience with the Samsung S20 Fan Edition,
right?
But read reviews on that, and on paper, they cost the same. The Pixel 5 and the FE Edition cost the same, and it really does seem like I'm pretty certain if and when I get my hands on that device, I will probably find that device is a better buy for $700 than the Pixel 5. It seems that way to me right now.
Well, it's interesting, though, because if you say that the Pixel 5 isn't a good deal, you might not have to wait much longer. It's worth bringing back to the fold. In late October, actually, Max Weinbach posted on Twitter something very interesting, an unsubstantiated rumor that apparently there's a true flagship Pixel coming out in March 2021. So he stressed that this is a rumor and substantiated and heard from two people, and John Prosser and others have no info to back it up. So read into it as you will, but it is worth remembering that back in August, a leaked report to 9 to 5 Google made a mention of at least 4 devices for the 2021 for 2021, a Pixel 5a codenamed Barbette, a foldable Pixel codenamed Passport, and 2 more other first-party handsets codenamed Raven and Oriole. And another report has talked about a Google Samsung designed chip called Whitechapel to power future Pixel phones. So who knows which of those ones are going to be rolling out in 2021, or if we're going to get yet another Pixel phone in March like Max predicts. But at this point, as we start looking, we stop looking back on 2020 and start looking forward to 2021, it might get interesting. And I would love to see a foldable Pixel, and I would love to see, kind of, as much as I love the mid-range, I'd be curious to see what Google defines as a flagship these days and see how it matches up both in price point and features. Definitely worth ruminating about over the next couple of months till we get to 2021. So.
Yep. Indeed. Looking forward to some of those rumors either coming true or not. Someone in chat actually points out something that I noticed as well. The fish code names appear to be gone if this is true as well. Yes. So what does that mean? Maybe that means the transition to Whitechapel. Maybe devices that have Whitechapel are now not fishies, they are birds. I don't know.
Also, Jason, what does anything mean?
True.
Yeah.
There's one thing 2020 has taught me. What does anything mean?
What does anything mean?
Anymore. All right. Woo. We did it. All right. Let's take a break. Thank the sponsor. And then we'll get into some more hardware. I realize that Pixel thing could have gone into hardware, but whatever. It's our show. We can do what we want. So take it. This episode of All About Android is brought to you by Sudo. Everything you do online increases your digital exhaust, right? We talk about this all the time on the network. We're spreading our personal information everywhere in the digital world. And you want to have some sort of control over that. You might not want your name, your phone number, your email address, credit card numbers, shipping address, browsing activity. You might not want all of that just floating around in the digital world, and you want control over it. It identifies you, and it makes you vulnerable to spam, scams, and even worse. So that's why you need Sudo. Sudo allows you to create different profiles called pseudos, and each one of those pseudos has a working phone number, email, virtual card, and private browser. And the idea is that you give a pseudo profile a purpose, so something like shopping or selling or online services, that sort of thing. And then within those pseudos, it allows you to talk, text, email, browse, and pay inside of the profile that you've created instead of using your actual information. So it protects you. You can create a new pseudo profile with a custom phone number and email address, name it for like shopping. Like I said, when a service asks for your contact information, you just use that pseudo phone number that you got or that pseudo email address. And that will limit your personal exposure. Your personal information doesn't get exposed when you do that. You get a whole lot along with Sudo. You're going to know that you're secure. with my Sudo. No login or credentials. So my Sudo doesn't require security-prone login or password. You get private key that's created that only the user has access to securely on the device. You get an encrypted cloud. All metadata stored on their cloud is encrypted, so no one, even at my Sudo, can read any user's communication. Only the user holds that unique encryption key. End-to-end encrypted communications, so all of your communications with other my Sudo users, that's messaging, voice, video, email, it's always encrypted, so only you, again, have access to your data. Of course, Leo Laporte here at TWiT highly recommends my Sudo. He had featured it on iOS Today before they were ever a sponsor on the network, so you know that you can trust it. My Sudo is the world's only all-in-one privacy solution. Has 3 subscription plans, and all plans come with unlimited encrypted communication between my Sudo users for messaging, voice, video, and email. And then each subscription plan comes with a working Sudo profile, phone number, email address, and more. And depending on the privacy protection that you want, there's Sudo Go, Sudo Pro, and Sudo Max plans that increase your privacy options at every tier. My Sudo takes protection of your data seriously. So when you download the app, they're not going to ask you for an email address or password or for your contacts to create an account. You can quickly access and use various privacy tools that they offer. My Sudo is the only all-in-one privacy app, and it's empowering users to take back and control their personal information, which is what you should do. So whether you've been hacked, tracked, had identity theft, were scammed, spammed, or just want to prevent these things from happening, the My Sudo app will mitigate the common risks that we all are facing today online. Download the My Sudo app today from the App Store or Google Play. Go to mysudo.com/twit to learn more and take back and control your personal information with the My Sudo app. Download it today. All right. We thank them for their support of All About Android. And now it's time for, well, a little more hardware. All right. I've got a little more of this hardware in hand, and then I'll stop talking all about all this stuff. You may have heard a new OnePlus device was announced, and a bunch of reviews started hitting yesterday. The OnePlus Nord N10 5G. We had talked in the last couple of months when the OnePlus Nord came out. It wasn't coming to the US, but that OnePlus had hinted that there was going to be a Nord release for the US sometime soon before the holidays. This appears to be it. So I have it right here. Of course, it's covered in my dog's hair, so my apologies. It's dusty in here. Sorry about it. It's also a fingerprint. It really likes fingerprints, this device. So the OnePlus Nord N10 5G. I'd say, I'm not here to give a full review of it because I have not been using it as my daily driver long enough to do that with. But I would say kind of from a hands-on impressions perspective, this is definitely a step in the downward direction. You've got the OnePlus Nord, which I actually really liked, right? This was, how much was it? 300 or 400 pounds, I think.
I do like that blue.
Now, which blue are you talking about? The lighter or the darker?
The one on your left, the lighter blue. The lighter blue.
Yeah. So this is the Nord from a couple of months ago. I do too. I mean, this is a solid mid-range device. A couple of cameras front facing. It feels nice. The Nord N10 5G, which is coming to the US, we don't have a price for it yet, but I guarantee you it's going to be a step down in price from the Nord that I have on the left here. It's just like the design. So it's plastic, which doesn't bother me in and of itself, but it's the like tacky, kind of like tappy, empty, hollow feeling plastic, if that makes sense. And that really bugs me. Like that gives me flashbacks of when all devices were plastic years and years ago. And yes, I totally had a thing against plastic phones, but it's because so many of them were plastic and they felt cheap. And I can't help it. This thing feels cheap. It feels like there's an air gap between the plastic and the internals here. And that just bugs me. Like
that's never a good feeling. I hate that squishy feeling, the squishy plastic feeling, right?
Totally.
Yeah.
You also don't get a alert switch. It's the first time that OnePlus has done that since, I don't know, the OnePlus 2, I think. I think the alert switch, that's the one that, well, I can show it right here. It's the little switch on the side here that allows you to go from silent to vibrate to, all speakers on. And this is the first device in years, OnePlus device, that doesn't have that. So it kind of loses its OnePlus character in that way. It's got a Snapdragon 690 inside, 6 gigs of RAM, 128 gig storage, micro SD card slot. So it does have a micro SD card slot. That's a nice addition. Also has a headphone port if you care about that. It does have a quad camera system on back. And I haven't really taken a whole lot of pictures of this. I've taken a lot of pictures. I haven't scrutinized them, though, and really looked at them up close. 64 megapixel main, 8 megapixel ultra wide, a 2 megapixel macro, which I can already tell you is not very good. We've seen it on a couple of their other phones, the 2 megapixel macro, and then also the 2 megapixel monochrome. And those two cameras, like, we know they're not good. It's all, I don't know. In my mind, it's almost better to just leave those off and shave off a couple of dollars, or replace the two with one that's usable or something. I don't know why they do that. Maybe just so that they can say that it's a quad core, a quad camera system. The haptic motor inside just kind of has a cheap feeling. It's I don't know. It kind of feels like a toy. 4,300 milliamp hour battery, Warp Charge 30T is included in the box. So now that we're tracking the fact that some phones come with charging bricks and some don't, this one does. So that's good. They are still sticking to the promise of high refresh, because the display, which is a 6.49 inch 90 hertz 1080p LCD display. This is the first LCD display that OnePlus has used since the OnePlus 2. So the viewing angles are not very good. All of this is to say that it really depends on the pricing. This is listed at 329 British pounds, no US pricing yet, but I don't know what the right price point is for this. I'm not getting a great feeling from it in my use of it so far. And it's just kind of a bummer. It's almost like OnePlus has always had a lot of personality, a very distinct personality about their devices. And this one kind of loses it. It feels really bland and generic. And maybe that's the price of business when you're getting into kind of the low mid-range, which I think is where this firmly is. But it's just kind of a bummer. And I'm gonna spend more time with it. This is not a review, like I said, but that's my impressions.
I still say Nord is not a good product name.
Nord.
And so you start there, and then you go down. Right. And then it's like, if you're going to have a bad product name, you need to back it up with a good phone. It doesn't look like they did that this time. So this is why Carl Pei left.
There are a lot of people that are.
I was thinking
that. I've seen a lot of people chatting that. Yeah. I mean, maybe it is, if he had been there long enough and through the very specific kind of personality driven era of OnePlus. Now we see that OnePlus is opening things up, and hey, they're a business. I want them to succeed, just like everybody does. Like if you start a business, you hope that you get to the point to where you can do this sort of thing. But maybe that kind of removes a little bit of the unique character and identity of the brand. And I mean, it's all guessing and conjecture. We don't really know at this point, do we, why he left? But the timing is interesting. It's hard to say.
Yep.
So
who knows?
Anywho, that's the N10 5G.
I'm jealous that you get to play with it. I love playing with new phones and that sort of thing. But a new phone that's on my radar that I look forward to playing with is going to be coming from the LG Explorer project because it might soon be a phone with a rollable display. Let's let that sink in for a moment. We've had foldables. Foldables are a thing of the past. Now it's rollables. So this smartphone, codenamed Project B, and how we know about it is a patent for the technology has been awarded to LG, described as Roll Slide Mobile Terminal from August 2019. Rolled up, the device is the size of a normal smartphone. Rolled out on both sides, the display size is doubled into more of a tablet form factor. And I know you're as excited as I am because they're just saying those words are magic. So because of the way it rolls out, no single point on the display gets repeatedly folded like current foldables, which is an interesting design point there. And just so you know, all these images are or renders from Let's Go Digital, not from LG. They're renders based off the patent design, so don't get too caught up on the actual look of them. This isn't exactly how the phone's going to look like. And as we all know, the LG Wing, which Flo reviewed and Jason has been flipping tonight, was the first device from the Explorer project to be released from LG. And this isn't the first time we've seen rollable devices from LG. A teaser of this display was shown during the LG Wing unveiling, but all signs point to this becoming a reality and something that I may one day hold in my hands, and I couldn't be more excited. Do you guys think the future is rollables now, or what? Or am I crazy?
I don't know if for smartphones, I'm feeling like it's more going to be rollables in other applied situations, at least at first, just kind of test its efficacy there. But
I love it.
I don't know.
I think this is interesting. Yeah, like it really, I realize we've said this a lot on the show. It really feels like a futuristic device when it does that. Only from the sense that, like, foldable, yes, that's neat. Maybe at this point we're 2 years into the foldable experiment. And so it's a little bit more like we know a little bit more about it. And so some of the magic is maybe gone a little bit. But when I see the mechanism of this stretching out from the center and expanding, that kind of gives me the memories of like sci-fi devices that are kind of like a scroll where it's like, and you've got your display and everything. And I don't know, that it also, in its folded up manner, really does a great job of replicating a normal phone. Even the Fold 2 is a very narrow and bulky normal phone. This, based on some of the render ideas that Let's Go Digital, did up, so take that what you will. But this appears to be a little bit more slender and a little bit more like a normal phone when it's all folded up. So who knows if it's going to turn out like that? But I think it's neat. I love it.
Yeah, it's great. So we're watching this very closely, and I look forward to one day giving it a test drive. So,
maybe foldable phone is not a good way to market it, because when I think foldable phone, or excuse me, rollable phone, I think of a very different mechanism. Just something to think about. Speaking of different mechanisms, hey, you need some battery. You need some battery to carry you through these times. And, well, Motorola has got a smartphone for you. The Moto G9 Power is the new smartphone for folks who want a big old battery. This phone has a 6,000 milliamp battery. That is over 60 hours of battery life. I would love to see that put to the test, just because I think 60 hours is a lot. That's over 2 days.
It's a long time.
Yeah. Now, it is fair to say this is kind of around the same specs and the same expectations as the G8 Power, its predecessor, except now you're getting a larger 6.8-inch LCD display, kind of the standard now for smartphones, just kind of pack in that larger display into the actual phone. Improved cameras, so 64 megapixel triple camera system. Snapdragon 662 processor on the inside, 4 gigs of RAM, which, I mean, this is supposed to be a budget phone, so I can understand that. But whenever I hear 4 gigs of RAM in a phone, I always get a little, pull my collar. 128 gigs of storage, pretty good. Now, this phone's going to be available in Europe, as well as a few other select countries in Asia, Latin America, and the Middle East. No mention of the US. It will be priced around 200 euros. Now, this is the biggest battery on a Moto device ever, and this isn't the first time Moto has done this with its its G series lineup, but it's kind of nice to know that they're continuing this tradition and making those batteries bigger. It is kind of making me wonder if we're ever going to see this happen from other manufacturers. I mean, OnePlus, maybe it would have been nice for you to put through a phone with just a big old battery. Just put something else in there for us.
I'm wondering how thick this phone is. If it's the biggest battery they've ever had.
It's got to be a chunk.
It's got to be.
You're getting it because you want a phone with a lot of battery, and that's
the
primary reason for it. And it's only 200 euros, which is flipping a bucket for some folks.
The battery is the reason you get this device. That's like battery matters most to me. Therefore, this device exists. But it's interesting because when I think of that now, like there have definitely been times in my Android experience where larger battery was the most important thing to me. And it's still important for me to have a reasonable size battery. But it's almost more than is necessary if you have the right charging, charging hardware to, capabilities within the device. Like the, what was it? It was the OnePlus 8T, charging from 0 to 100% in 35 minutes. Like it kind of doesn't matter. I mean, and that battery was big enough to last you plenty of time, throughout the day, into the night, into the next day, which I did that a couple of times. Like I just didn't charge it at night because I didn't need to. And then in the morning, it's like, I'm going to take a shower, plug it in for 30 minutes, and it's up to 100% again. So then we get to the point of like diminishing returns. It's like, okay, this is a huge battery, but it doesn't really need to be that huge as long as you have a good charging system coupled with it.
It's that balance. But if you're in a situation, if you're in an occupation, or if you're in a role where even getting to 30 minutes on the charger, like you need that extended time, I could see that. Although I got to imagine that is a niche, like that has got to be a niche of a niche, to be honest, of a use case. But still, I mean, just because you can do it doesn't mean that you shouldn't. So I'm glad that Moto's going for it,
Totally.
Yeah. And as an aside, this was announced alongside the G9 Play and the G9 Plus. So very typical for Moto to be announcing this trio of phones, kind of refreshing them every year. So there you have it.
I realized I was at the G8 event last year in New York, and I guess they didn't do an event this year.
Maybe they did, and it was online. The other ones, the G Play and the G Plus, G9 Play and the G9 Plus, they were announced like I think last month and the month before. So they've been doing this like kind of like staggered rollout. So I don't think that they had like a single event for all these things for you to go to, Ron.
Because why would you? Like that I know, honestly, now, like what you wouldn't need to, it doesn't even matter. So, all right. Well, it's that time in the show. It's time for the moment you've all been waiting for. Let's pause and thank our next sponsor of the evening, because this episode of All About Android is brought to you by my favorite and yours. It's brought to you by Manscaped. And listen, you might be looking at yourself in the mirror in the bathroom, and you might say, mirror on the wall, what's the best brand for my intimate areas? Well, that would be Manscaped, of course. And not only your intimate areas, but hold on, we're all getting older. Hair grows in different places, including your nose and your ears and other spots. So good thing our partners at Manscaped are here to ensure that you're taking care of your personal body spaces and your nose hair with their new performance package. And listen, I'll be honest, I was horrified once when I was sitting I was getting my hair cut in San Francisco, and I was going to the same place for a while, had the same guy cutting my hair, and he took out with his little buzzer and trimmed my ear. And I was like, dude, what are you doing? And he pointed, and sure enough, there was a hair about 1.5 inches coming out of my earlobe. And that's when I realized I was well into my 30s, and it was not going to get any better from there. And so from that point on, I realized I needed to take care of myself in places I didn't used to. And that's why you're going to want to look into the Manscaped Performance Package, which is the ultimate men's hygiene bundle. Included in this great package is the Weed Whacker ear and nose hair trimmer, which is waterproof and uses a 9,000 RPM motor-powered 360-degree rotary dual blade system. This nose and ear hair trimmer provides proprietary skin-safe technology, which prevents nicks, snags, and tugs in those delicate holes. And trust me, if you're trimming your nose or your ears, you do not want a nick or anything like that. I once actually, to even be more embarrassing, after I realized I had to trim my ear hair, I used my shaving blade on my ear once, and I nicked it, and sure enough had a big cut into my ear, and then had a Band-Aid over it, and it's unwanted attention. I don't want to explain to anybody what happened. So you can avoid that by getting the Weed Whacker from Manscaped. And listen, let's be honest, the data is there. 79% of partners polled admitted that long nose hair is a major turnoff. I would like to find the 21% that said it was a turn on, but that's another conversation. The majority of partners say nose hair is a turn off. So why not use the best tools for the job? And this bundle includes the Lawnmower 3.0 trimmer, the best trimmer on the market for all of your intimate areas, even the ones below the belt. And let's not forget their famous liquid formations, the Crop Preserver Ball Deodorant and Crop Reviver Ball Toner to maximize your ball hygiene routine. Because, if you don't have one, you should get one. And you can get the performance package now to receive their 2 free gifts. And who doesn't love free gifts? The Manscaped Boxers and the Shed Travel Bag. Also, you'll receive a replaceable blade every 3 months to keep your weed whacking and lawn mowing time clean and enjoyable. And the performance package is the best value that Manscaped has to offer. So thank you, Manscaped, for keeping us looking the best we can be. Whether it's sexy or just clean cut or however you want to look, Manscaped's got your back. So this is what you're going to do. You're going to get 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/twit. That's 20% off plus free shipping at manscaped.com/twit. Manscaped.com/twit. What are you waiting for? Go take care of yourself. Go whack your weeds. And thank you, Manscaped, for your support and sponsor this episode of All About Android. And look how clean my hair and my ears look. It's fantastic. So, there you go.
Thank you, Manscaped, and thank you, Ron. That was wonderful. It's time for some apps. We don't have much in the apps block here, but we do have someone recommending an app in a little bit here, so hang tight for that. But if you happen to be a YouTube Premium subscriber, you have, you probably have the app installed, YouTube app. I think, isn't it like pre-installed on most devices anyways? Google's made that happen. You've got a pretty great offer. If you happen to be a YouTube Premium subscriber, you want to open up YouTube and you're in the US or the UK, because they are offering a free Stadia Premiere Edition package. And it's for a limited time right now. I checked it out myself, and sure enough, the kind of welcome message was waiting for me there. And so I claimed it and I went through the process, and I'm getting a Stadia Premiere Edition package sent to me completely free. It's $100 normally. This is the package that has the Chromecast Ultra and the Stadia game controller. So this would allow you to play Stadia games through the Chromecast Ultra on your TV set. And heck, you might as well. Right?
Google's
banking on that.
I do have a YouTube Premium account, so
okay, you might as well let it take up space in your apartment.
Yeah, it's a gift. It's just $100 gift, basically.
Yeah,
you sign up for a month of Stadia Pro for free.
Yeah, so that you can use it and then go, ooh, I want this. I'll actually pay for this. Which, even if you don't pay for it after the month, streaming Stadia for free, if you have a game in the game library, of course, that's the kind of trick here. Not trick is the wrong word, but that's what you need, right? You need to have purchased a game to be stored on your cloud account through Stadia in order to play it. But streaming 1080p to your TV is free, and the Stadia controller actually cuts down on latency, because it communicates directly to Stadia servers. It doesn't route itself through, through a computer or anything like that. It just connects on its own direct connection. So, it's a $100 gift. You might as well.
Yeah,
it's a perk. So, worth looking into. Totally related to that, the YouTube app is now showing users the benefits of their YouTube Premium account. So if you have a YouTube Premium account, there's a section that you can go to that totally spells out like total hours of ad-free watching, so that you can see like, holy cow, I've missed a ton of ads by being a YouTube Premium subscriber. A total background playing time, total time listening to YouTube music, total videos watched offline. These are all perks of YouTube Premium, and definitely that is there to keep those of us who might be considering leaving or departing because of the transition to YouTube Music and all that. So I'm sure Google, this is a good way to keep people paying. Oh, and
I gotta say, between YouTube Music and YouTube Premium and YouTube TV, it is very confusingly complicated these days.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But so YouTube Premium, if you're paying for YouTube Premium, then you get YouTube Music ad-free included, right? Is there any such thing as paying for YouTube Music and not getting YouTube Premium? Like, it is kind of confusing.
Yeah.
Or is it if you're paying for YouTube Music, you are paying for YouTube Premium?
Let's see, how much does YouTube Music Premium is included in YouTube Premium, but can also be purchased as a standalone product for $9.99 a month.
Oh, okay.
So you can get YouTube Music. Yeah, you can get YouTube Music Premium. So confusing.
YouTube. Okay, so you can get YouTube. Let's figure this out. You can get YouTube Music Premium for what? Is that $9.99 a month?
Yes.
And then YouTube Premium is how much? That's what I'm trying to figure out. $14.99.
Maybe YouTube Premium cost.
Because I have
$11.99.
Oh, so it's $2 more. Oh,
that's just bananas.
Yeah, that's not bad.
Yeah,
Flo's like,
yeah, it's $11.99. That's actually not bad.
Not bad.
I got to be honest with you. Once you go YouTube Premium and you get used to not seeing ads, and then you either go away from it or you happen to be logged in on an account that is in YouTube Premium and you get ads on YouTube, I was like, whoa, what is this? And it was like very upsetting. So if you can get if you can get ads off of YouTube, I strongly recommend it. I spent a lot of time on YouTube during the day because of my day job, and if I had to see ads every time I loaded, it would be a nightmare. So
absolutely. Totally agree. Flo, how do you feel? Don't care. Care, but care too much to speak.
Yeah, I'm just
don't care. I can't read you, Flo.
Much. I'm just rolling over in pain because of how much I'm now paying for YouTube TV. So it's just.
Are you paying $11.99? Like, are you?
No,
YouTube
I am
Premium?
paying $80 a month.
Oh, for YouTube TV.
Yeah.
Yeah, too much.
Okay. I got confused.
I'm paying for YouTube cable, by the way.
Also? Or now because of that?
No, I'm just saying this is cable I'm paying for. They've completely suckered me into it, which is why I'm like counting my pennies. You know, I don't have Disney Plus. I don't have a lot of other stuff. So. Yeah,
right. Yeah. Wade County in chat said, just this conversation is why Google can't market to people.
Yeah.
And it's true.
It's not wrong. It's not wrong.
It's confusing. Yeah, absolutely. All right. I should also mention, by the way, because this is an important detail.
Yes.
You only qualify for this if you were a YouTube Premium subscriber as of November 6th. So if you signed up for it now, you wouldn't then just suddenly get this deal. Important to know that. You had to be a subscriber.
Don't try and game the system.
You just won't be able to. So this isn't like a sign up now and you'll get this thing. It's like it's a thank you for people who have been signed up as of November 6th. So important distinction. Emails, AAA@twit.tv, or leave a voicemail 347-SHOW-AAA. Flo, you got the first one.
This one I'm excited to read because I'm going to gush about VLC along with John T, who wrote this. John T wrote in, really have to throw my weight behind suggesting VLC after hearing the recent episode. I keep a 256 gigabyte micro SD card in my phone filled to the brim with music, and I find it to be one of the best applications for handling a large library of music. Bonus points for it also supporting web video content. Applications like Discord will tie back into VLC for playing video content like .webp. John T. John, thanks for writing in. I, too, have really been enjoying VLC for a multitude of reasons, although admittedly on the desktop, on my Windows PC. I am also, just side note, I'm having a hard time getting that Discord integration in. If anybody wants to write me about that and help me out, you can go to my website, florencezion.com. There's a contact form there. You can get in contact with me.
florencezion.com.
Help a girl out. I want people to know what I'm listening to on VLC because I use it. I now use it for podcast feeds ever since they added that feature, which is like awesome. No shade to, other podcasts.
VLC has always been an under the radar sleeper hit for any sort of media player question that comes up.
It really is.
Like it all, like for years now, it is such a powerful tool, and the people behind it put like cool things in it, like you said, Flo, with the podcast feeds and all that sort of stuff. Like every machine and everything, I always have VLC on it because I know at some point I'm gonna get a video file that doesn't play in some other dumb player, and then I open up and I go, I should use VLC, and like VLC is great. So I agree with John.
Yep. But I have to just say, it will never ever compare to the skinning capabilities of Winamp back in the day. Because I tried very hard to download some user-made skins for VLC, and it was
the age of Winamp skins. Oh, Winamp.
With the llama's ass. Yeah.
Yep. Well, so on the tip of music and Winamp and things like that, if you listened to last week's show and you heard Jason's woes about his downloaded Google Play Music library, which after this email, Jason, I would like an update on. Sure. Jeff writes in and says, after watching All About Android last week on November 3rd, if you have a Windows machine, you can use a free utility called MP3 Tag, which can use the ID3 tag info to create and move the MP3 files into artist and album folders. I'm not sure if there's a Mac version, but if not, there should be other utilities to do this. And this was in response to Jason downloaded his entire Google Play Music library into one folder with no naming convention on the file, like just the files were named that they were, no organization, and for some reason he was unable to get them organized in Plex. So Jason, it's been a week. Were you able to resolve this issue?
Yeah, I was. Somebody, I don't have the name right now, somebody reached out to me on Twitter, and it was before I saw this email. I don't have a Windows machine, so that wouldn't have helped me. But the person on Twitter said, hey, import it into iTunes, which is Apple Music, actually. Because when you do that, if you have the settings set up properly, it does exactly that. It copies the music over into its library file structure, which is organized artist album. And it does it automatically based on the tags and the file name and everything. And so that's what I did. That put it into the right file structure. So, it just takes more time when you do that and everything. But then, and I'm still at the point, like I'm still finishing, this is going to be this week's episode of Hands on Android. Pretty certain it's going to work, crossing fingers. But after tonight's episode of All About Android, I plan to look at it and see if it did work. But I don't see why not. The folks at Plex told me that's what it needed to be, is organized like that in order for Plex to like it. And so I'll find out. I'm feeling pretty confident that it will work, though. So, all right. Good recommendations all around. And now, this is a pretty fun one. It's time for the email of the week. Okay, Paul Motto says that he is an avid watcher, and this is a little back and forth, but I'll read you the first email to start here. He says, I saw your last show about the Razr Burn. I have one even better. I ordered a Z Fold 2 direct from Samsung. Long story short, when I opened the package, I found 2 cans of tuna fish in the box. Imagine my surprise. After about 3 days of back and forth with Samsung, I did receive a refund. The look of the package and how it was sealed led me to believe that it must have happened at Samsung.
What?
So I replied,
that's fascinating.
I replied, this sounds fake. Pics or it didn't happen.
Oh,
and
nice.
Paul replied with an image. And we got that linked to in the doc here. Paul says, here's the picture. They were glued to the bottom of the box. And Burke will pull this up here, and we'll show you the photographic proof. 2 cans of tuna fish glued to the bottom of a box of a Z Fold 2. This picture, according to the... oh, sorry?
Is it American tuna fish or Korean tuna fish?
Yeah.
That is a question that I was not aware enough to ask, although we're enhancing a little bit. I don't know. Maybe we can...
It does look like Asian,
Asian fish.
Yeah, it looks Korean. It does look Korean. Yep.
Okay. I did look at. I mean, I tried to find the tags, and there were no tags that gave me a whole lot of information. The file name was structured such that it looked like the picture was taken November 2nd. So it wasn't something, I mean, that would be very easy to fake. But if Paul did fake it, he was with it enough to change the file name structure so that it was a date that wasn't today, because that would be easy to fake.
Jason, just
I replied back. I replied back and said, "This is just so bizarre. It's hard to comprehend. Did Samsung have any explanation for how this would happen? Did you order another device? Did you eat the tuna?"
And that was the question that I wanted to know about immediately. So I'm glad you asked that, Jason. Thank you.
Yes.
I know the answer.
Well, yeah, it's in the doc.
Oh, never mind then.
So of course you know the answer, Burke.
I didn't see that part of the doc yet.
Oh, okay. Well, Paul replied. He said, "No explanation provided. Did get a refund. Still planning to get the device, but I'll go through Best Buy instead. Tuna packed in oil. Prefer packed in water, so no, didn't eat it." There we go.
There it is.
mean, it must have happened. I'm still not convinced, but it must have happened, right?
This is like that time that lady ate the chilies at Wendy and found human body part in there.
What?
Exactly the same.
I suppose things like this do happen, but
it's so weird.
Somebody totally ripped them off. Like they intercepted it in shipping, and then they put something back in the box so it's heavy enough.
Yeah.
Some pissed off employee or something. Somebody was just like, you know what? This is freaking cool. I'm going to take it.
This is from Samsung. Oh, this is totally a Galaxy Z Fold 2. What am I going to put in there? Well, there's my bag of groceries. Let's see. Some tuna fish. That'll work.
Well, that's like this reminds me of in the early 90s. What's the statute of limitations? Is it long enough? Should I tell this story?
Depends. I don't know, but I think it depends.
When Super Nintendo came out and Street Fighter 2 came out, that was a $75 cartridge. All right. And so I was, 8th, 9th grade or whatever. And so, so one of my friends bought it, and then we had access to a shrink wrap machine. So we at first we put in another game that my friend didn't want anymore and returned it to Toys R Us and got $75 back, and then realized, why are we putting cartridges in these boxes? We can just keep returning.
Oh my God.
So have you identified the point in your life in which karma got its revenge on you?
I mean,
has it not happened yet?
Honestly, it's been a long 25. It's been a long 30 years since this happened. So
Ron, that was very beautiful and anti-establishment of it, and I love you for it. And sure, Toys R Us is now out of business, but it's not your fault because you did this so many years ago.
Not my fault. They did cash refunds.
Oh my God. Oh my God,
Ron! I'd just like to say that you are not the only person who might have hypothetically done something like that.
Right.
Oh, Burke!
This is a thing.
Burke is coming through.
This is a thing. Holy cow! Well, it was a long time ago,
I had to buy comic books somehow, so that's how it is.
Listen, you guys, since we're all confessing things here, let me say sometimes shipping is wrong. When it's sent to me, I'll get extra of something, or I'll get something I didn't actually order. Like it's just in my order and I keep it. I don't send it back.
You rebel. Jason's done nothing like any of this, by the way.
Six hand towels, and I got 12.
If there's the spectrum of good between me scamming Toys R Us and then Flo keeping items that were shipped to her that she shouldn't get, Jason is on the far end, where Jason will actually, like, if something is misdelivered, Jason will hand deliver it to the right house to make sure it got there okay.
Correct.
This is just not at all where I thought this email was going to go, but I'm glad that it did. I've learned something about you too, and about myself. I'm trying to figure if I got some skeletons in the closet here. I mean, no.
Jason,
no, I'm perfectly
don't
clean.
ruin it. Don't ruin it for yourself. You have a role that you fulfill on this show.
It's to pull out the best in both of you, right?
Yeah, let's keep it there. We need you to be the actual moral compass.
All right. I'll be the moral compass. Just today, though. I'll be the wholesome one, as Robot in chat says. Paul, thank you for a memorable email of the week. That was awesome.
Good for you, Ron.
I don't know if it's good for me. So this is so someone in the chat, Wojo, said, granted, it was a while ago, but I'm surprised they gave you money back without showing them an appropriate receipt. And it is amazing what disenfranchised youth will do at a retail job they don't care about. So
it's true.
And especially
it's
this
true.
was what? This was 30 years, 30,
yeah,
right, 30, 35 years ago.
Nailed it.
92,
they were way
maybe?
less with it on these sorts of things than they are now. I would imagine.
No, guys, I worked at GameStop. When a kid comes in and you're like, "What's up, kid?" You know, you develop this. I get it.
Oh, somebody dropped. No, Ron has been carted away.
No,
the police. Apparently, the statute of limitations is not up, and Ron is gone.
They busted.
Okay, he's back. He's back.
We were worried. We were worried.
We were a little worried about you, Ron.
You know,
you and I were worried. I thought there was some sort of statute of limitations that would affect my internet connection, but no. This was summer of '92 because Street Fighter 2 came out on June 10th, 1992. So it was definitely summer '92. So yeah.
All right. I would imagine over the course of 30 some odd years, karma has paid you back already, and
yes, it has.
Yeah,
it has, and I paid it, and I paid it back, and
paid in full. Yeah. All right. Well, we've reached the end of this episode. Thank you so much for watching and listening. Thank you, Flo, for just showing up every single week. It's always awesome to chat with you, Flo. What do you want to talk about? We want people to know.
Well, I mean, what I really want to talk about is my internal dread, but we're not going to talk about that. Instead, we're going to talk about my website, florenceion.com, which I just recently updated. I am keeping a running tally of a bunch of techie chores that I'm trying to get done. So if you want to just come join me, you can read about that on my website. I also just recently updated my recent works page, including where I've appeared on podcasts and where I've recently actually had a review go up this week at Tom's Guide of the Lenovo ThinkPad X13 with AMD Ryzen chip in it. So check that out if that's something you're interested in.
Very nice. Everybody definitely go find that and check it out. Thank you, Flo. And what about you, Ron?
Yeah, you can follow me over on Instagram and on Twitter at RonXO. And then also, as I've mentioned on previous episodes, I've got a fun startup called Scorebit, which is designed all around pinball. And we have an Android app. So if you haven't downloaded Scorebit, go to Google Play Store, check it out. We worked very hard on it. I'm very proud of the fact that the app released simultaneously on iOS and on Android at the same time. And every time we update it, it updates both platforms at the same time.
Nice.
Total version control, doing it right. Very proud of that
Practice
fact.
what you preach.
Yep. So so that's what I'm very proud of this evening of. So there you go.
Right on. Yeah, you deserve to be proud of that. That's
I thought it was an argument with our development team because it was like, well, we go fast, and I was like, nope. We're doing it all the same. We have to do it this way, and so we built out this whole automated build process. So when it does the code, then it goes out to both stores at the same time. It's really fascinating. So very cool stuff.
Nice. Nice. That's great. That's a victory. Cool. Scorebit.io. Big thanks to Burke at the studio for pushing buttons, coordinating things behind the scenes at the studio, putting us on the stream, recording, and then big thanks to Victor as well, who takes that recording and edits it and does all the text on the website, updates the feeds, basically makes it so that you can actually see it in the end. So they do a lot of hard work and really appreciate that they do. You can find Hands on Android, another Android show I do here at TWiT, at twit.tv/HOA. Last week's episode was home control, like creating a home control device out of an old device you have hanging around using action blocks. That was like a stopgap because my plan for last week was the episode that I'm going to be doing this Thursday, which is taking the music from Google Play Music on Google Takeout and bringing it into Plex And so that's going to be Thursday's episode. So twit.tv/HOA. You can find All About Android shirts and merchandise at twit.tv/store. Actually, you can find merchandise for all Twit shows. Go there and you can find a whole bunch of awesome stuff, as well as masks. Don't forget to wear one. Saves lives when you do. That's it for this week's episode of All About Android. This podcast, publishes every Tuesday evening, late in the evening. Just go to twit.tv/AAA and subscribe there so you don't miss a single episode ever. And that's it for this week. We'll see you next time on another episode of All About Android. Bye, everybody.
So long.
Want more Twit? Check out Tech News Weekly, twit.tv/TNW. Tech News Weekly is a show where Jason Howell and I bring the latest and greatest interviews to you from the people making and breaking the tech news. twit.tv/TNW.